This is Renee here from Renee's Gardens, and I'm going to be making some chicken stock bone broth today. I'm not able to use my stand today simply because I have my sweet 4-year-old grandson here, and he likes to pick it up and run with it. So we're going to do this in little stages and little short clips, and I'll throw them all together at the end for you, and you can see the whole thing together later. Right now, I was going to show you what all I do and ingredients I use for my chicken broth. Today I'm making a double batch of chicken broth. I'm going to be using 2 chickens. Alright? And I save my veggie scraps from my carrots and my celery and my onions. And as I get a full bag of veggie scraps, I put them in my stock with my chickens as well. But since I'm making a double batch, I've only got 1 bag, so also has some extra carrots and celery and onions. So I'm going to be putting those in there as well to finish out the double batch to get the flavor and the stock really rich. Pardon me. And I use garlic powder. I use bay leaf, salt, sea salt, and pepper. Now this, I use this every so often, depending on how I'm making my stock. I make my stock several ways, and I'll tell you how I'm going to make it. What I do, usually if I make 1 batch, I will just use 1 bag of veggie scraps, put my seasonings in there, and then I put in the stock water, and I'll cook it all up. And then I'll strain it out. Well, when I'm making it fresh vegetables, I don't like my fresh vegetables to go to waste. I actually chop them up. It's what I got the cutting board out here for. I'm fixing to do. I chop them up into bite-sized pieces as if I'm going to put them in a soup or in a casserole or a pot pie. And I'll cook them up all at the same time. I get them all chopped up in my stock, and that way I won't waste them. But I chop them up and I put them in my cheesecloth. The fresh vegetables, it's all chopped up. And that way, when I get done with my stock, I can just pull this cheesecloth out, and what's in here, I can save up and put in a container for my recipes to use. And then this can be just trashed and thrown away once it's strained from the stock after I debone the chicken. Well, here's my big stock pot. Just going to fill it full of water. And then I'm going to put all this together. I'm going to come back here in a minute after I get all these things chopped up and prepared to put in my stock pot with the water. And I'll show you the next stage from there. If you happen to hear animal sounds in the background, my grandson's TV show he's watching. We'll be back in a moment, folks. Real quick video here. Got all my vegetables cut up, all the bite-sized pieces for any kind of recipe I would want to use for the trinity of carrots, onions, and celery. I've got my cheesecloth, 2 layers here, done in like a crisscross area. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie this up at the top and be like a little bundle that I will put inside here with all my spices. Now what I'm going to do right now, I saved up my scraps, as I told you before. I'm going to put all my scraps in this broth. The scraps in there first. Well, secondly, actually, because the 2 whole chickens in the very bottom already. I've already put those in there because I needed both hands to do that. Put all these veggie scraps in there. All these, I need to get my camera on there, don't I? So I can see it. All these veggie scraps. Now, I usually put about 2 or 3 bay leaf. That's what's left in here, so I'm just going to just dump this whole thing. And there's some little scraggly scraps, so that'll be fine, because it'll be all strained out. And yes, I put a lot of garlic, because I like me some garlic, y'all. Garlic is good for us anyway. Put lots of pepper. Get it all good and seasoned. I will put salt in there. Like I grind it with both hands just a little bit. And I just like to make it a little bit extra rich. I'll add me a stick of real butter in the broth. Now, I'm going to tie this up and put that in there. And I got it all tied up. I had to use both hands. I tied the one underneath. No, first I tied the one in the center on top. Tied it. Took the ones from on the bottom cheesecloth and I tied it. Did it 4 ties each way, so that way all the different corners will be sealed inside. So we're going to take this, put it over here into the stock pot. All right. And just get this all pushed down in there. So these and the cheesecloth will cook up in this rich chicken broth that will be rich in the very end. And they'll be cooked and very flavorful from the stock. I'll put those in a container and I'll freeze them to use for my recipes, for either pot pie or any kind of recipe I would want to put them in, you know. And that's how I make stock. I'll put it on, I get it boiling, and I'll turn it down to about medium high or medium, and I'll cook it for 2 or 3 hours or so until the chicken is literally falling off the bone. I'm going to pick it up. And I'll pick it up and I will debone it all. And get all the chicken meat put in a baggie. And I will save it in different meal baggies. Because there'll be 2 chickens, enough for probably about 4 different meals. And I'll put it in different baggies and I'll save it. Freeze some. And some I'm going to leave out because tomorrow I'm going to make dumplings. So we'll have chicken and dumplings with this good rich broth I'm making today. And I'll have extra broth. I won't use it all, most likely. We'll have extra broth. And I'll put some of it in the freezer for another meal, for another soup. Or another dumpling day. Whatever it may be. So as this cooks later on, when it's all done, we'll come back and I'll show you the broth. How rich it will be. All the chicken meat deboned. Alright? We'll see you after a while. Well, here's the stock. It's just about done. The back and the breast aren't quite tender enough the way I want them. But look how golden that stock is. See that? How golden it is? It is rich as can be. And the smell is amazing. I just got through taking out the big old cheesecloth. It's fogging up. It's so hot. The cheesecloth with all the vegetables in there. We'll strain this. Get them to cool off. And let's see what I'm going to do. Oops. I'm one-handed, y'all. With the phone. Oops. It's fogging it up. I'm sorry. Alrighty. This is what I'm doing. And we'll empty them out in these little containers. Let it sit here and cool off at room temperature. Then I'm going to put them in baggies, freezer bags for the freezer. Probably about 2 freezer bags. This will make a good old pot of chicken noodle soup or chicken pot pie, whatever, or some kind of vegetable soup I want to make. But then I might put maybe 3 baggies actually. You're just about to see what it all looks like. The cheesecloth, of course, I throw away. I don't ever keep it after that. And I'm straining it in here because there's broth that's going to be draining through it. All my bowls are set out. If I get all my chicken stock out and my chicken out, putting all the different bowls, I'm going to start straining all this broth out. And when I get it all sorted out, the meat in some bags and the vegetables in bags and the stock, strained, then I'll let you see it all, okay? See how golden it is and how nice it looks. So we'll see you when that comes about. Alrighty. Got all the vegetables that I put in that cheesecloth. Put in these 2 containers. They've been cooling off. And they're cooled off enough where I can bag these things up and I can put them in my freezer for any future meals I want to use them for. So see, there's not going to be any waste in my vegetables for making my stock. A lot of people put vegetables in stock and they'll throw all the vegetables away. Well, the only thing I throw away is when I use my vegetable scraps. Those can be thrown away. So here's both chickens and all those vegetable scraps in this bowl. It's all been strained. And I've got all these bowls full with a beautiful flavored golden chicken stock. And so what I'm going to do, it's been a long day, put these in a bag and put these in the freezer. I got space cut off in my fridge I'm putting the stock and this chicken, and tomorrow I'll debone all that chicken tomorrow. Because right now it's so popping hot, I wouldn't be able to begin to debone it. And it's late tonight. So tomorrow I'll debone that, get it all put in bags and put in the freezer. I'll leave some out for my chicken stock for the dumplings. I'll probably leave this biggest bowl out and not freeze it and use it for my dumplings. These two smaller ones, they'll stay in these containers, and as they cool, then tomorrow I will put them in my freezer. So, this is the process and how golden it is. So there's many ways to do chicken broth, because sometimes I use all vegetable scraps in one chicken and just throw all away. But now another thing I like to do is I'll save all my chicken skins, whatever's left of them, and my chicken bones, and I'll bag them up. And I use that for my next stock to help flavor it. I always get 2 things out of all my things. My bones, sometimes my vegetables, and I get the most out of my food. It's kind of like being humble. It's like you're honoring your food and not having any waste and getting the most out of what you can. And I've learned to do that along the way. All the different little preservation secrets and cooking secrets from many different people throughout the years. And I'm passing this on to you, and whoever reads it, whoever watches this and listens and learns. So I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed the way I make my stock. Sometimes I'll make just a single batch, but this is the double batch. Because literally these 2 bowls here would fit in one big bowl here. So it'd be like 2 big, huge bowls like that. Chicken bowl, it'd fill up at one bowl there pretty much. So I got quite a bit. I can't wait to have chicken and dumplings. And I'll let y'all know how those go. And I'll show you how to do those as well. Until the next video, y'all take care and be blessed. Well, the next day here, I got all those 2 chickens deboned that I cooked in my chicken stock yesterday. All in this bowl. I got it all shredded. I just shredded it up with my hands. I put about 4 cups of the chicken stock and all this meat so it won't dry out. Just let it kind of absorb in there. Really good. So when it sits there and absorbs for a little while, then I'll bag up my chicken into bags and put it in the freezer, except for probably about a third of it I'll probably leave out, because then we'll be making some chicken and dumplings today. So I'll have this in my chicken and dumplings, and I'll have some in the freezer bags for a couple more meals or so. And that's what I do my chicken when I debone it. I make sure it doesn't dry out, and I put it in bags like that so it's not going to dry out when I freeze it. That's how I do that for now. On to the next step. I finally got the chicken meat that I deboned into freezer bags like I told you I was going to do. And I was about right. I figured that the 3P3 bags for 3 meals. These 2 I have more chicken broth in, because this one will go in the freezer. This one I will save out for my dumplings. So there's really not a lot of broth. There's much broth in that one. I'll just leave it out to put my dumplings when I make them. So I got 3 bags out of 2 chickens. They were rather small chickens, so the bigger ones I usually get about 4. But that's what I got out of making my stock and chicken and vegetables for the freezer. So that's all she wrote on those. Now, that's how I do my stocks, my vegetables for freezing and future meals, and my meats, my chicken. That's how I do it. So, now, that's the end of all this video of the stocks and how to put things in the freezer. On to my next video of making dumplings for you. Go check that out. Until then, I'll see you later.